Alright, converting a conventional gas dryer, natural gas dryer, to propane. And we're going to test it with a propane tank, which is, I've never really seen done on YouTube. I'm sure other people have done it, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it while smoking too, for those who are offended. I'm just kidding, we're going to put that out. Anyway, so we got 2.5 gallons of propane now. Half a container of a 5-gallon barbecue pit propane tank. Okay, we got 5 feet of hose and a regulator. Regulator is important because this is a cheap Chinese regulator. I think it costs us about $15 at Harbor Freight, and that's what we bought for a test kit. Now, it's important to note that this thing is called an 11WC, and WC doesn't stand for water closet. It's a unit of measurement. Okay, what it stands for, well, cameraman, what does it stand for?
It's an inch of water.
Okay, so it stands for inch of water. Why do they measure it like that? Well, because regulators below 1 pound can't really get into a bigger measurement, so they have to go with something smaller. So 11WC is considered like a micro measurement.
Like millimeter, centimeter, kind of like
right.
that.
So it gets down below inches. It goes into, and this is just an example, that's not really what it means, but it does go down to a lower measurement of pressure. So this machine doesn't want to be fed anything more than 11WC. Actually, the machine, it's written on these machines that call for, and this is a Samsung model, by the way, and it's a 2017 model that I just bought for a testing, just to test to make this video. And what it does is propane requires a smaller jet. So there are 3 factors in doing a conversion. One factor is, we got the machine apart for a reason, is to change the jets inside the machine. They have to be smaller than natural gas jets. Propane, for it to produce the same flame, it likes a smaller jet. Natural gas needs a bigger jet to produce the same flame. And that's just how it works. Propane is just nothing more than trash gas that they discovered they could finally do something with it and sell it to the general public. Whenever you see those big, refineries and you see big flames blowing out the top, that's them getting rid of the excess propane and crap off the top, and that's basically what they sell the general public. But it does serve a purpose. You can use it to heat your house or run a dryer or a stove, and just about anything you get can be converted that runs on natural gas can run on propane. You just have to have the appropriate stuff. So the appropriate stuff would start with a jet kit. In this case, this one was a little hard to track down because it's for a 22,000 BTU heating element. Most of your dryers today, because of bureaucrats in Washington and activists and environmentalists and anti-gas people and nut jobs and all that out there, don't think that it's very sustainable to use something such as a 22,000 BTU dryer that might dry your clothes really fast. They think it's probably better to use a 20,000 BTU. So that's most of your common dryers today. So that means that this is the Cadillac model of the last rendition of the Cadillac. So you would probably be looking for a jet kit if you were doing a Samsung or one of these other dryers for a 20,000 BTU. Unless you have a 22,000 like this. And in this case, this is a 3XAA part number. They would use a 4XAA. 4XAA is for a 20,000 BTU. Alright, so now that we got that out of the way, every appliance has its capability that ran on natural gas at one time to be converted over to propane. For those folks who live out in the country, who have that big white tank that when the sun beats on it blows off a bunch of excess gas that was overheated in the tank. That's the reason they're painted white. So, and that's also the reason why they're set out in the yard somewhere and not close to your house. So we're going to do this for test purposes, and if it does work, then we might consider leaving it around, just put it in the yard or under the carport and then run put the tank way out in the yard somewhere or away from the house and get a 12-foot hose and buy something that's more name brand, that's 11WC, and not something that's too strong for this machine that'll blow out its internal regulator. We want to go with low pressure, so we'll go with something like like a Mr. Heater hose or something like that, and a Mr. Heater regulator, which is a fairly good name brand. But this is only for test purposes. So you need three things: jet kit, hose, and to adapt from your hose. So what's your hose take? That's a 3/8 inch fitting, gas flared for a gas fitting. The line it came from your machine that would naturally hook up to your house and your natural gas is a 1/2 inch. Some of them are bigger than that. Some are 3/4. Some are 1/2 inch. Some are 5/8. Most of them are 1/2 inch. Okay? So, hardware store, converter. This can be done multiple different ways, but flare to flare, brass, screws on. And then, of course, you don't need any Teflon tape or anything like that on a flare fitting. That's not really appropriate. People think that it is, but it's not necessary. It seals in to end when you put a wrench on here and tighten down and tighten down. And then we would, of course, test all of this with a soap spray before we fire up the machine, so we don't have any problems. Okay, so that's a little tidbit for safety Nazis. We'll make sure that this is appropriate. So this hooks to your bottle just like that, regulates, and then what'll happen is it'll run through this small orifice here and reduce the pressure. The regulator's got a spring in it and a diaphragm to help reduce the pressure, and then it'll get it out to 11WC, which is approximately 1/2 pound or slightly less, 4.45 of a pound. So this is less than a pound of pressure going through this hose. So it's not a high pressure line at all. In fact, it's so low that they got to measure it in some mercury measurement like 11WC. Okay. So next up, we've got the machine apart. If you do own a Samsung like this, one that was discontinued, that's the 22,000. We'll show you how all this crap goes back together, but we wanted to get you down to the center of it and the meat and potatoes of this video, so it's not a long video. We pulled the front cover off. Here is where you need to get to. Okay, this is where the magic happens. This is where your gas happens. This is all that. I got a little chintzy light here. I'm going to try to shine in here for you. Okay. All right. So now we're looking inside here, and you can see the different components. Now this is obviously a regulator too, right? This is the regulator you don't want to blow out. This is an internal regulator. It's tamper-proof. You don't want to fool around with it. It's got tamper-proof screws and all that in it because this is set one way. Okay. Now behind here, just in case for reference, you have an electric igniter. This thing heats up, gets really hot, and then lights a flame, and then your flame shoots out, and the wind, the air, picks it up from a turbine wheel or from a squirrel cage fan wheel and sends it throughout your dryer to help heat everything. And that's how it basically works. I'm just giving you the basic lowdown. Okay, and these are gas solenoids. The machine detects electronically, hey, there's gas going to it. We need to turn on at this time and shut off at that time. And maybe for different close settings, one might shut on, one might shut off, might open halfway, so on and so forth. So consider these fuel injectors if you're in the automotive industry. All right, so what we need to do is find out where these valves are that we need to change, these orifices, because we need to put smaller orifices because they have natural gas orifices. Like I said, you can do this with a stove, an oven, heaters. You can do this with almost any appliance that runs on natural gas. There's always a conversion kit out there. As you noticed, most people have those kits on their generators. So you can run a gas generator on propane. Imagine if the people in Houston knew this. If they would have known this information, maybe they could have kept themselves warm safely. And that's sad. It really does. I feel sorry for those that lost their lives because of that. But knowledge is power. So we're doing our best, and I'm sure we're going to have some critiquers on our video say something. I don't give a damn what you got to say. This is for the majority of the general public. You do this at your own discretion. This is your disclaimer. All right. Now what are we doing next? Jets. Let's see what they look like. What are we fooling with here? All right. Let's put this down. Let's open our jet kit. Now we could read our instructions that say qualified this and qualified that, and check with your local code enforcement and blah blah blah.
The only instructions I'd be
contact your bureaucrat and ask him if you get permission to go pee. Sit down, you know, stand. Do you have to sit or stand when you pee? All that stuff. Maybe you need to refer to the manual at some point, or the instruction manual.
see if you need to downplay the regulator a little bit. Maybe. Some
on some models.
Some models.
But this model looks like
maybe it's self-regulating.
It looks self-regulating to me. I've done this enough to know. So I'm kind of cheating here. But of course, none of our videos are really scripted. So you're learning as we learn. So if I do something wrong here, you're about to find out. And if you don't see the video posted, I guess you'll never know because something happened. But I doubt that. Alright, so you can see how there's a smaller orifice. I bet you the natural gas orifice will be much bigger. So we will put these two aside in a clean location right here. Alright, put that right there. Alright. Note, this kit was $40. The one for the 20,000 BTUs is only like $7 or $10. That's because they don't want you to have such a high gas using dryer or appliance because it's not sustainable, like I said. Okay, so what do we need to get this out? Pair of pliers, screwdriver, what? It shouldn't be in there very, very hard. Okay, let me see what kind of threads we got on it. Okay, it's fine thread and they're not reverse thread. So they're righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. So we need to just grab a pair of pliers and unscrew this, okay? Because there's nothing that we can harm on the outside of it that plays any significant vital role.
So a pair of needle nose then.
Maybe a pair of channel locks. Pause that, grab a pair of channel locks. Alright, so it's going to get a little bit more complicated than what I anticipated, but not really. Okay, so what you have here is this burner you got to take out of here. This is where your flame comes out. Flame comes out, goes into this tunnel right here, and that's where your air is picked up and sucked into the dryer to heat it. But there's a jet right inside of here that we have to get to. Unfortunately, this whole regulator system and all that is bolted in here sideways. So how about if we just take this thing out like we're going to replace it? And then that way we can get to both jets before we scuff up anything that doesn't need to be scuffed up or create a hazard for ourselves. It looks like we have 3 screws here. And this is just an idea of how complicated it could be on some machines or some dryers. So see if we can get to this bottom screw here. I can't hold a phone and do this at the same time. It's possible. And we got 2 more. 1, 2, and then we have 1 down here. And all this is a sheet metal bracket holding this up. Okay, so you got to navigate through this sheet metal bracket. Let's see if we can get this regular. And there might be an easier way to do it. We probably could have took this off, that off, and maybe lifted this thing up out of the way. I don't know. Are there any more screws in there deeper? No, it looks like 1 piece. Yeah, it's basically a menagerie of crap. So you're going to have it hard one way or the other. So I'm going to take this off. So I'm going to take this off. This is the main gas line. It comes in, okay? It's got an elbow that runs all the way to the back of the dryer. And it comes out. And that's what this hose is, okay? It's just a fancy pipe that sits in here. You see that? And it's hooked up. Now if you notice from the factory, they didn't put any Recta-Seal or any pipe dope on there either. Not where the coupling, the flange fitting sits. Look, show the flange fitting, see?
Yeah, flare to...
Right. So when you have a flare like that, it's not necessary to put anything there. In fact, I've seen it do more harm than good, okay? Because it creates like a nasty mess. And sometimes it actually doesn't seal. So we'll take that out and we'll set our screws down there. We got one more screw right here, kind of hidden in here. Alright, we'll get this thing out and then we'll get back. We got to get a shorter Phillips. Okay. You filming?
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm glad I did it this way because I took the regulator out. Okay? So here's your regulator right here. Here's your solenoids. Alright? Okay, this is your gas regulator. So your gas goes in. This goes inside to throw your flame that away. That's where your gas gets thrown. Okay? Then it gets dispersed through this little tunnel. This is the other jet that they wanted to give you in the package. See it? Look at the difference.
Ooh, yeah, you can see that.
In the hole size. See that? So I don't know why that's so chewed up looking. Oh well. That's the jet for propane and that's the jet for natural gas. So you can see there's a big difference. Now we got to go into this. Let's see what we got here. Let's compare this. Okay, this is the other jet that they sold you with the kit. It wasn't on very tight. Note how much torque they used from the factory. Okay, if it was an elbow click, then you go back with a elbow click. If it was a wrist click, go back with a wrist click. Okay, it's very simple. You just want to put it back the way you found it with the new kit. Now, this, I have no idea what this is. Looks like a plug. Now, it looks like there's something on the end of these threads, but I'm not going to get overexcited about it and call it important, like it's some type of agent, sealing agent.
Right.
Because the main reason is because this is aluminum and this is brass, and when aluminum and brass get together, they don't exactly make the perfect mate as far as chemical wise.
They would corrode.
Slightly. Let's take a look at this.
That replaces it. It's much bigger. It's got a little...
Look what it does. It actually modifies that valve. It goes in there and it kind of shuts that off. And naturally I would just want to take a flathead and tighten that up. But there is a cap for this. Okay. So I'd have to say that that's the correct way to install it. Right?
And it just gets as much tightened force as the other one does, right?
Right, which is just a wrist click. I mean, it didn't take much to take that out. Let's pull this out, see how tight this is. And remember, this is just for a Samsung. Alright, I was in there about a wrist click. You hear that squeaky?
Mm-hmm.
That means there's not anything on the threads. Okay, that's it. Alright, threads are accurate and true. You want to make sure that you don't get any Chinese threads that don't fit correctly. That tightens up.
Gas.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want any gas leaking in any direction. Especially this jet. You got gas shooting out of here. You got this piece fitting in here. Sits up to it. You got gas spraying out of here. If you had gas coming out of sideways here, you'd have a flame sideways. If it brought itself back this far. You wouldn't want that, would you?
No, I don't think so.
I wouldn't want it. Okay. Let's put some Recta-Seal on this because it would make me feel a little bit better.
Got it.
Pause that. Alright, so I open the instruction. Why are you filming? Why are you looking in Spanish?
The people watching might be Spanish.
Alright, well, if you're Espanol, then you could read that. Okay, so here's the thing. I open this kit after. I open this instruction manual after, okay? And I got everything correct. Okay, it says put the limiter in there, the regulator, change the orifice out, These are the two things you get in the kit. it shows 22,000 BTU, 11 WCP. They're naming it something different. What is that called?
Water column pressure versus inches of water. WC, WCP.
Okay, so online a lot of people say WC, WC. Okay, well maybe they're referring to the bathroom. But it's WCP, okay, if you want to get technical. Okay, that's the units of measurement for this regulator right here. Okay? So they're just reinforcing the idea that you should use an 11. Okay, so we're on the right track here. And even though Harbor Freight does not say 11 WC on it, we track this model number on multiple forms and multiple websites to come back as an 11 WC. The one thing that I didn't mention was that we need to turn the shutter. What is the shutter? This is the thing that controls the flame that comes out. It's just basically a piece of sheet metal that does nothing but adjust the way that it's like a torch head. You rotate a torch head to get the desired, or turn how much gas is coming out to get the desired flame that you want. So in this case, we only have two selections.
LP and N.
Okay, so it's set on N, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So all we would do is take a flathead screwdriver, which is underneath that Harbor Freight box, and can we get to it with a flathead? Working in tight spaces is the story of my life. So we would just loosen this screw a little bit, right? Okay, and okay. And it says rotate it until it stops. That means to the shank of the screw, right?
Yay.
Yay, and it stopped. Okay, then tighten back down. Okay, and this video is already getting boring, I can feel it. Okay, so we'd want to tighten that down, not too tight and strip it out, but tight enough. The same way it was when we took it off. Remember what I told you. Feel pressure in your wrist and in your hands. Alright, so this is liquid Teflon, alright? You can call it whatever you want. You can disagree with me or agree with me, I don't care. I've been using pipe dope like this forever. Okay, this is a little different than pipe dope. It's mainly for gas applications. It's liquid Teflon. Instead of using the tape, you would use this. And it's a mess. It really is. And I would feel more comfortable not putting it all over this thing, but I'm going to put some on it. And I'm going to be careful not to get it inside, because I don't want it to clog up my orifice, my jet. Screw it back in. If you get this on your clothes, you're not getting it off easy. Okay. Technicians that have this stuff rolling around in their trucks and get a bottle of it smashed and then kneel in it understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I got it on, and what I would do is tighten it to a wrist click. I'm done. Next, this orifice. Careful not to break these regulator or electronic regulator connectors off. And I would just put a tiny bit of rectum seal on this. Alright, it probably contacted all the threads. There. And then we're going to give that a wrist click. I was going to use a flathead screwdriver, but I'm not. The only thing I will do is use a flathead screwdriver to make sure that the gasket that's in between here and here, or whatever that is, that seal is tight and didn't come from the factory loose. Okay, it is. Now, we are kind of done here. Now, this is the other fitting that we need to worry about that we took off. We need to remember how y'all weren't here when I removed it. It wasn't that difficult. So we will get this thing ready to go back in its place. This. Now look, I gotta line this up. This jet has to go inside that hole, okay? And it's gonna bend your flame thrower in a different direction, okay?
Yeah, flamethrower.
Hey, that's a good thing, huh? I'm sure it has a technical name. I don't really care about that right now. Alright. So, screws to put this back together. Now you worry about tightening this up last because you need something to hold down first. Get another screw here, and then I'm going to put these 3 screws back in to put this apparatus back together. When I'm done, we'll come back to this fitting, okay? You can cut that camera. Alright. Are we back on?
Yeah.
Alright, good. So we got our bracket down tight, okay? So this thing is tight to our bracket. We got 1, 2, 3 screws holding that down. Now we're going to go to this elbow. Now this elbow is going to fit on there. Okay, with a little trial and error, we got it. We had to move it around a bit and fandangle it and caress it and take it out to dinner. But after all that, we got it. So now I have to tighten it back up. I already hand tightened it, and I got it spun more than 4 threads, so it's not cross-threaded by hand. Now I could tighten down. Now this is where I want to make sure this is a little bit tighter. And be careful you don't snap these clips off here. Okay, that's about how tight you want to feel something like that. Yeah, okay, that's good. Now that should be safe. Alright, so here's the safety switch, the door switch I just pulled out, and I just stuck the front bezel on the machine, okay? So you know this is the Samsung model that's been discontinued, that's 2200 BTU, 22,000 BTU. 22,000 BTU. Okay. And here's the door switch, and the machine's unplugged, so I'm not being reckless here. And if I was, I really wouldn't care about your opinion. I'm just kidding. I appreciate everybody looking out for everybody, especially in all those gun safety videos. Nothing makes me feel like I'm in Germany more than watching those. Alright, in 1943. Alright, so we would press this down and hold that. Now this is all plastic, so I don't see any room for one person with one hand free, not touching anything steel, pressing this button.
Right.
But in the meantime, we're going to do a leak down test, and we're going to tighten these fittings. So let's get to tightening these fittings right here.
2 pairs of channel locks.
Always need 2 pairs of channel locks. Preferably something bigger than this, but I might get away with this.
Bigger pair?
Yeah, I got to tighten this down real good.
Alright.
Alright, let's see. Alright, you want to get that good and tight. And that's what I would consider good and tight. Okay? Now that you put a little extra torque on because you're using the fitting to seal itself. Now, first thing I want to do is not plug that machine in. I don't need any electricity over here. Hook this up to my bottle, and I want to get this bottle on the other side of the machine. So, cameraman, could you stop that for a minute so we can move this bottle? Alright, so we're going to do a gas leak test. First, distinguish all smoking apparel, cigarettes, etc. Get that out the way. Okay, our tank is kind of on. No bubbles?
No bubbles.
No bubbles? Alright. Bubbles? And we got a little Dawn Platinum and water mixed in here, by the way.
Don't see none.
Okay. Let's go to the back here. This connection was already here, so this is somebody else's work. Nothing?
Don't see any.
No, I'm not going to spray it inside the machine, but we can come over here and listen. And you can smell. Propane has a nasty smell.
I don't smell anything right now, do you? Stuck my nose in there.
Nope. All I smell is dryer sheets
Me
from
too.
the former owner. Alright, let's do it live right now on camera. Alright.
Let's try it out.
Look. Propane tank over there, on. Plug it in.
We got a light that came on inside.
Of course you do.
A nice little mood light.
Alright, I'll be the contender to hold this down. Okay. Turn it on. Power.
Ah, got it.
Okay, that's goofy. Well, what's the problem, Neil?
I guess just normal. There we go. Try it.
Hit it. Oh shit. I wouldn't put your face there. I heard the regulator kick on. Or, I'm sorry. Do you see that, whatchamacallit, lighting up?
Oh yeah. There's that igniter.
But
No
it did-
flame yet.
Well, that's when you get it in your face, so watch back. You should have something come out of there. Okay.
There it is. Whoop. Nice and blue. Nice and blue with a little bit of orange.
Yeah, it's kind of spread out kind of wide, huh?
Yeah. There it is. It's starting.
So the solenoid clicks to let the gas out of the valve, then the igniter kicks on, or vice versa. What color is the flame?
Blue with a little bit of orange.
It should mainly be blue.
Very blue.
Okay, it's cutting out for some reason. Obviously, maybe we don't have a lid on it. Alright, so we're going to put the switch back on the dryer. Went that away. Clips in like this. Comes in the back. Snaps into place. This is some kind of goofy safety switch, gate safety clip. They make it simple but expensive to fix these things. You know. Okay, that snaps in there. Then your doodle-majiggy for your plugs in here. And it fits up there like that, and then your machine goes, your top goes back together. Now, you had the two clips down there and up here. And this is only if you have this model, okay? I'm not, you know, you can cut the video off by now if you wanted to see how to convert. But we are going to stay a little longer on this video to see if we get more response out of the dryer. We need to see if it actually works long term on that little propane. I mean, we got all kind of goofy stuff we got to put back together. This was here, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's if I want the door to open the other way. Isn't that cute? Alright, so we'll put this shit back together. We'll show you how it goes. I don't want to crack this up, so we need to take it easy. Just put some of these screws back in the top. Okay, I get it. Alright.
Yeah, there were 4 that went up here.
Got it. Okay, what one here? Just 2 screws?
Yeah, 2 screws at the bottom.
that. They should have gave you some inserts to go there to cover that, so it would be decorative at least. But that's the way it was. So next step would be to put this on. This face bezel mobile. Looks like it's got some clips at the bottom that don't really line up too well. Top. Okay, well I guess it does. That's good. Plastic is. And then top lid. Right? This
Yes.
one?
Yeah, it slid out, so I don't know if you got slotted in or what.
Well, I just kind of did.
Okay. Yeah. And then it catches up with the thing right there.
Right. And then you got what?
2 back there.
These?
Yeah.
Sorry folks for making y'all sit through putting this junk back together. But
For anybody that's got this model.
the hell? Okay. Alright. Oh. Righto.
We got that dopey screw that's used
There's a
for,
screw back here that is used for hanging, right?
Yeah.
So goes in, drops down, I think, to hang.
And then you got your screws.
Then you could start your screws at some point. Where, I don't know. I don't have any. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So you want to kind of hold that straight and steady. And we'll tighten this up later with a hex. Well, that really didn't line up too well, did it? I guess it did. There's an adjustment you can make. Yeah, I can adjust that shit. I can move that slightly that way and all that.
But it does basically close.
Yeah, and this goofy plexiglass crack was here. That's how I got it cheap.
Yeah.
Trading it.
But glass is good.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, I guess. Whatever. I don't see how that clothes don't push the dryer open if you're drawing a big quilt. But let's plug it back in and see what up. It's plugged in. Let's turn the gas on.
Full propane?
It's on.
Alright, heavy
You have
duty.
to change the setting, the propane on the digital setting?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Turn it on, let's find out.
I noticed that there's no light. This light used to flash a bit. It's not flashing anymore.
Well, maybe it's not going to work anymore. Hey dude, that's going to fill up with gas and it's going to blow your legs off. Hey, let's go in the back and see if we get singed.
You mean like the Samsung washing machines that used to...
This is actually in that...
Oh yeah, the ones that used to eject the...
This is actually in that realm year of...
Oh, I heard it. Turned on.
Yeah. Is it hot?
It is warm right now.
Is it staying on?
It is staying... I didn't hear it cut off.
Stay back there. This was a pretty simple and safe hookup.
Yeah.
So far.
And air is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. It's
Really?
increasing in temperature. So it actually had a sensor to tell that the front lid was open, probably.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's getting too
Temperature.
getting too much oxygen through the front. The dryer can't really, it can't really burn efficiently. It's the sheet metal and all that's set up
Right.
so that it only takes in so much oxygen to spit it out. You understand?
Yeah.
So if that's all open, that throws it off. It's like pulling the air breather off your car and your engine, or popping the exhaust off a two-stroke.
Right.
Two-stroke needs the exhaust to
I hear that regulator working.
you hear it working?
Yeah, I hear it. If you put your ear next to it, you can hear not a hiss like LP is leaking, but you can hear it passing through the regulator.
Mm-hmm. Well, this looks like another successful video. Let's.
Cooling now.
What do you mean cooling?
It detected that it was done.
Oh, this thing has its own
Sensors.
Sensors. It's supposed to tell whether the clothes are wet or dry. It's probably obviously so hot in there it doesn't have any more. You know, this is the one with the where you hook the damn garden hose up to the
Steam cleans.
to steam clean. But anyway, we're probably going to disconnect all this, and we're going to let you go, and that's the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. You never know what's next. Actually, I think we're going to do a generator next. It might take us a while. It might not be the next video, but it's coming. We're going to do a 25 kilowatt hour generator.